We are live. Back at it. Scott Kennison. Welcome back to the program, my friend. This is TJ Hill. That is Scott Kennison. We are Hill Talk Sports from Cleveland, Ohio, from undisclosed locations. We are broadcasting to you live on a bunch of different things: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We are live and direct. A little early tonight with the show. We started a little bit early. Just to get a little ahead of things, started early. Schedule's cleared. Come on live. You can always watch it back and play it back all week.
I'm just a kid from Parma.
Are you now?
Just a kid from Parma.
This episode is going to be called Thy Kingdom Come. Back, maybe.
That will be done? I'm sorry.
So last week, when you were in the basement, I had one of my guys fill in from, remember Cole? Cole Yerkowitz filled in for you last week.
Yeah.
Did a great job. Talked a little bit about rugby because it's rugby coach. And my daughter's playing rugby this year, so that's be interesting to see. But we got into the subject of LeBron a little bit. And I had it in my head that LeBron would be the type of guy to come back and maybe do a one-day contract and retire as a Cavalier. The reception he received from the Cleveland fans was like he was still under contract with Cleveland. It was an interesting game. I had to watch it back and play it back and watch some of the things that happened. Steph Curry. Why do Northeast Ohioans? I'm gonna say Northeast Ohioans, not Clevelanders, but Northeast Ohioans tend to claim people that are really not from here necessarily. Like, okay, Steph Curry was born in Akron at the same hospital LeBron James was born. But he wasn't exactly raised in Akron like LeBron James was. He moved on. He's not really an Ohio guy, which LeBron James is an Ohio guy. But yet in the paper today, the Akron boys showed off at the All-Star game. Steph Curry never mentioned anything about Akron before.
Yeah, I think this is a media creation.
We trying to get them both?
This is not even that. It's not even our media. ESPN's doing it. I think there is a narrative for two kids from Akron stealing the show in Cleveland. I think they tried to figure out what they could find on that. Because I'm going to be honest with you, until today, I knew nothing about Steph Curry being born in Akron.
You did not know that?
Nope. Wasn't ever a story.
That.
That's how much he represents Ohio, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's not from here, really. He was born in Akron. His dad played for the Cavaliers for a bit. And he just came through and was born here and then moved on.
Correct. So
here's the thing. You can't really say he's from Akron. Technically, he was born here, but whatever. If you were born in Alabama and moved to Ohio, are you a Roll Tide or Buckeye? You know what I mean? I think that the storylines with LeBron James and this All-Star game says a lot about what may be happening in the future. Read between the lines kind of deal. LeBron James talked to a reporter he knows very well, and they discussed a few things and questions were answered about returning to Cleveland. Now, with LeBron James saying this, I'm not closing the door on returning to the Cavaliers one day before my career is over. But then he turned around and said, my last year we played with my son, Bronny. Now, Bronny is class of 2023, I believe. He's coming out next year. So it means they still got to set to where you got to have 1 year of college, right?
Correct. That rule is still there.
So that'll be 24. So we're looking at 25 possibly. But then Lewis said something earlier about he might go to the G League, which at that point he'll pick his own team that he wants to go to. That's 25, 26. So we're looking at a 3-4 year window for LeBron James retires, most likely. And his Lakers contract was up when? Do you know?
22-23 is the last season he's fully under contract with them.
Okay, so there is a possibility that some kind of way LeBron James can return here as a free agent in 23 Bronny goes to G League in 24. Bronny comes to the Cavs 25, and LeBron retires 25.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know when LeBron is retiring, and I don't think that he's put any date on it in his head. I think what he's saying is that he won't retire before he gets to play a season with Bronny.
As I read it, now I could be reading it the wrong way. My last year will be played with my son. So
Yeah,
we can
but that doesn't mean that Bronny's first year in the NBA is going to be LeBron's last year.
That is true. That's true.
LeBron, I think, is going to play as long as he has the competitive drive to play, and as long as he can play at a high level. He's not going to.
He's not.
I don't want to disparage. I don't want to disparage the great Michael Jordan, but LeBron isn't going to come back. LeBron isn't going to play like MJ did, coming off the bench for 25 minutes a game and averaging 18 points a game and being a shell of his former self.
Yeah.
He's not going to do that. I don't see him doing that at all. I don't see his ego allowing him to do that. But I think he deeply regrets going to the Los Angeles Lakers.
There's a lot of
I
smoke
think he
with that.
wishes he'd have went anywhere other than LA.
Another thing they had reported this weekend is that the Lakers are on notice because LeBron made those comments about returning to Cleveland one day. See, Cleveland's built better for a championship right now than the Lakers are, even with their all-stars. But you got a lot of guys injured and such. So it's a possibility that he's eyeing Cleveland as a destination for the future.
I could see LeBron trying to get to Cleveland in the offseason, to be quite honest with you, as long
this
as you don't.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Cavs got pieces they could send. You can send Colin Sexton. You can send Okoro. You can send Rondo back to LA, even though he's just out of LA. You've got contracts. You've got pieces, and draft picks. I mean, you can send assets that way to get LeBron out of LA. I would not send Garland, and I would not send Mobley. And if you can keep those two, I'd send anybody. Pair LeBron James with Garland and Mobley. I'd like to keep Jarrett Allen, but I think if you can keep Garland and Mobley, I'd send just about anybody else.
I was trying to see if there was. I gotta watch the game over again, but I was trying to see if there was a time when the Cleveland All Stars were in the game with LeBron at the same time. So I think LeBron wanted to get a look at that and see how it looked, kind of like he did with Kyrie before he came back to the when he was with Miami still. He got a look with Kyrie on the court at the same time, and then he saw, okay, this could be something special. I think he already knows that with the team we have built right now, it could be something special.
I also wouldn't send Karis LeVert. I wouldn't send Karis LeVert. Yeah, if they want Colin Sexton, Kevin Love, and Okoro, and a draft pick, and I don't care who else. You want Jetty, you want Rondo, I'll give you all of those guys. Just send LeBron back here because it's a champion. They win a championship. If you could put LeBron on this team right now, you win a championship.
Would you rather him wait to be a free agent or get him next summer?
I'd like to get him next summer. I don't want to waste another year. I don't want to be another year older.
Yeah, but
look, I think this one's really, really easy, okay? LeBron comes back to Cleveland in a trade next summer. The only thing that happens is there's an agreement between Kobe Altman and, well, Brian, I have to, I understand what you're saying, but I will give up Colin Sexton for LeBron James. And I will give up Okoro for LeBron James, even if you're renting him for a year. I don't want to give up Allen, and I don't want to give up Mobley, and I don't want to give up LeVert. But I will give up...
23. 2023 is done.
I'll give up the rest of them, and I would rather get them now, and then it's an easy little deal with just a verbal agreement with Kobe Altman and Dan Gilbert that, look, Bronny James is going to be a second-round pick, late first-round, mid-first-round pick when it comes down to it. He's not his dad. All the projections are saying he's going to be a second-round pick. Maybe he makes his way up into a first-round, mid-first-round pick. So the Cavs should be really very much able to sit there and tell LeBron, we will take him with our first-round pick. And if we have to trade up to take him, we'll trade up to take him. We'll get your son.
I agree with Brian on this one. LeBron changes the team. It's not a team ball anymore. I kind of feel that.
It won't be a team ball game anymore. But you got to remember also, this is an older LeBron James. But this is still a guy who's averaging 29 points a game this year. He's still probably the best player in the NBA.
Here's a question I have for you, though. Can we afford LeBron James? Right
That's
now,
why I
his
wish
liquor
Bob
contract,
Evans was here.
well, his
But
liquor contract is 39.2 this year. Next year is 41.1. And then his final contract year, 22-23, is 44.4. I'm sorry. I'm not paying no 30-something-year-old dude, don't care who he is, $40-something million when I got a group of guys ready to go already.
yeah, I don't care how old the guy is. I care about what his production on the court is. And what I have to find out is if you trade for LeBron, I believe you can get his bird rights, which means then you can probably find a way to grandfather him. So let me check out LeBron James's stats is what I want to see right now, because I know he's still averaging 29 points a game. And in some ways, he's having one of his better seasons again. The guy can still
Because everybody around him sucks right now. He's carrying the load. He's carrying the load. Westbrook ain't doing anything.
But he still can. He's shooting 52% from the field. He's shooting 35% from three-point land. And he's averaging 8 rebounds a game and 6.5 assists a game. And he's averaging 29 points a game in 36 minutes. The man is still out there being dominant and one of the best players in the NBA at 37, and I don't think he's slowing down anytime. The dude's a freak, and I think if the dude wanted to, he could play until he's 45 or 46 or 47 years old if he wanted to play at a deteriorating level at some point. But, I mean, the dude is still at the height of his abilities. Is this peak LeBron James? No. We probably had peak LeBron James back here in 2015 and 2016. Although some people say it was in Miami. But overall, the smartest, the best version, the athletic peak was in Miami. But the smartest, best version of LeBron is here. Yeah, I mean, what place is the Lakers in with LeBron dominating? I get it. But he's in a better situation to win here. He's in a better situation.
Win here better. Definitely, if he's here, he win. I mean, are the Lakers, I think they're a 10th seed right now. They're like right at the cusp of being out of the playoffs.
Yeah, they're like 27 and 31. They're going to need to pull it together. But
can they pull it
man, wherever Westbrook goes, teams lose.
I mean, oof. Oh, yeah, they bad. Ninth place right now. I mean, 21 games out of first place. Looking at about 6-7 games out of the 6th seed right now. That's horrible. I mean, yeah, they got a long road to go.
I'm just to tell you, if the Lakers don't make the playoffs this year, LeBron James is going to raise hell to be moved out of LA. And the Cavs got the pieces and the assets to get him. And I know people tell me, Scott, you're crazy. But you might be able to get another championship out of LeBron James. And I think this team we have right now is very, very good. But I don't think it's a championship team.
I think it's second round team at least right now.
But LeBron James changes that dynamic. Look, man, this is still the guy who very nearly in his last year here, when the Warriors had Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and Draymond Green, put up 52 points in a game. And if our point guard would have made a free throw, they go up 1-0 on that team. And,
Brian, crazy.
What happened the rest of that way is what we forget is LeBron James broke his right hand on the whiteboard punching it in the locker room after they lost game 1 and played the rest of that series one-handed and still almost got them to some victories. He's still that man.
Yeah, he is.
He almost won a championship in 2014 with Matthew Dellavedova, Tristan Thompson, 87-year-old James Jones, and I can't even remember who else was filling out that lineup at that time. They were playing 6 guys, and the 6th man was James Jones, who was nearly dead on the court. Oh, yeah, Mike Miller, too.
Ooh.
Didn't even have Kevin Love. Kevin Love was out because the, what's-his-name in Boston broke his shoulder.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving shattered his knee in overtime of game 1. And LeBron had them up 2-1 and very nearly won that series on his own. With a supporting cast full of crap. Tristan Thompson doesn't do anything in the NBA anymore. Matthew Dellavedova's out of the league. It's a supporting cast of complete crap. And he almost beat one of the best teams in NBA history pretty much on his own.
Very true. Very
yes,
true,
I want that guy back. I want that guy back. And there's almost nothing the Lakers could ask me for that I don't bring him back. Definitively. That's where I come down on.
I don't know. I have to let it cook for a minute and see what happens. I just don't. I'll put it this way: if the Lakers don't go to the playoffs this year, or they're 1 and out, or they're in the play in and get eliminated that way, I can see LeBron throwing a fit and wanting to leave right away. I see that happening. They're not making it at all. Definitely want to get out of there right now because he's not going to try to run that back. Isn't Davis hurt again?
I think you could. Yeah,
he's hurt again. I believe I said during the All-Star game they say he's hurt again. He can't stay healthy.
I think you can. You have the pieces to trade for LeBron James's contract. You give up. I mean, you probably have to give up Kevin Love. You probably have to give up Kevin Love. His contract expires in 2023. They won't have to keep it for long, and it'll make the salaries match. But if you can give up Kevin Love and Colin Sexton and Isaac Okoro and Rajon Rondo maybe to get LeBron James here, I don't see how you don't do that. Are you valuing Colin Sexton that high right now?
Probably
Are you valuing Isaac Okoro that high right now? I'm not asking you to give up, Jarrett Allen. I'm not asking you to give up Mobley. I'm not asking you to give up Darius Garland. And to be quite honest with you, Jetty Osman might be one of the pieces in there. And I know, maybe people don't want to do that, but you have the pieces with Kevin Love's expiring contract and a couple of these other pieces to not get rid of the guys that are really driving this team with Jarrett Allen and Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. You're not giving up that much to get LeBron James back.
No.
I'm not sending Andrew Wiggins away this time.
And he made it to the All-Star team this year. I mean, come on. That's kind of crazy.
I don't think I'm sending away to get LeBron James. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that if LA comes to Kobe Altman and says in the offseason, Kevin Love, Isaac Okoro, Colin Sexton, and Rajon Rondo for LeBron James, I think Kobe Altman leaps out of his seat to accept that deal.
Cavs, according to this here, is $31.2 million cap space.
Yeah, well, crap. They could make that deal to LA and have cap space to add a piece.
I didn't know that was the issue there. That's oof. I didn't know that. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
I don't know, man. Everybody knows
Wiggins.
where I come out LeBron James. We've talked about LeBron James for 7 years now, since we started 9 years, since we started doing this together in 2013.
Yeah.
I think he's the greatest player to ever play in NBA history. I think he's still the best player in the NBA. And I think that any team you add him on, if they stay healthy, should be an NBA championship contender. So, yeah, I want him back here.
I think LeBron, everybody argues the thing with him and Michael Jordan about the GOAT. And I always had the argument where it's a different era of basketball. People say LeBron couldn't have played in Jordan's era. I think he could have physically. I think he goes with the flow with the flops now because everybody else does it. It's a new league. They do things differently now. But the difference between Jordan and LeBron is LeBron can literally play anything on that court where Jordan couldn't.
Absolutely.
Jordan couldn't play center. And that's the thing that separates them, to me, in my opinion, as the greatest, because Jordan couldn't do everything. Now, granted, he got more titles, but he had a better supporting cast, and it was different. It was a different league back then. There were no Steph Curry's hitting threes and scoring 50. Did he score 50 points in the All-Star game?
Yes, he did.
This dude scored 50 points in the All-Star game. That's crazy. Whether he was being checked or not, he scored 50 points in the All-Star game. Wasn't it 16 threes?
3-pointers, yeah. But, everyone loves to point out about Michael Jordan's era that it was more physical.
It was.
Okay, it was more physical.
But every
You want
sport
to
was more
know?
physical in that era, though.
Here's what everybody forgets about Michael Jordan's era. You couldn't play a zone. You couldn't play a veer. You couldn't play a box and one. NBA teams play a box and one on LeBron James, okay? Which is what you play in high school when that team has one good player. You couldn't play that back then. It was called illegal defense. So with Michael Jordan, you either had to leave Craig Elo on him or you had to give someone to help Craig Elo, leaving somebody else open. So what do you think LeBron James would have done if one person had to check him? I'm sorry. Yeah, you know what? Bill Laimbeer and Dennis Rodman may have hit him when he came down the lane, but in a different time and in a different era, you know why LeBron James doesn't rumble down the lane and just drive over people now? Because he gets a charging penalty. Back then, Bill Laimbeer would have went up to knock him down, and LeBron James would have put Bill Laimbeer on his ass, and Laimbeer would have been crying. And I know Bill Laimbeer's a tough guy, but LeBron James, screw what they list him at. The guy's 280 pounds. He runs a 4.340, and if he has a 0.5% of body fat on him, I'll be amazed. The dude is add 6 inches to your refrigerator and watch it run a 4.340 after you and jump 4 feet in the air. Yeah. LeBron James is going to be afraid to play in the bad boy Pistons era. Let me tell you something. You're not hitting 6'6", 210-pound Michael Jordan coming through the middle, okay? Short of Shaquille O'Neal, I don't think there's very many people in the history of the league who want to be on the receiving end of LeBron James coming down the lane. I believe that Marv Albert said it best when he said, with no regard for human life,
Yes.
when he posterized Kevin Garnett. And Marv might have said it best when he yelled, yes, and it counts in that hotel room. But
Oh, you went there. You went there. How you go there? You Scott. You went there. Um, Speaking of Steph Curry, real quick, the thing I like the most about the All Star game, which other leagues probably should try to do if they don't already do it, which I'm not aware if they do or not, is that they donated a ton of money to the local economy. Cleveland got off this weekend with the parties, the festivities, the clubs, everything. Everybody got paid this weekend, real good. The Cleveland Food Bank, I believe they got over $300,000, and I think that was the team, that was the charity that Durant's team picked. 300,000. I like how he did it. So whoever won that quarter, their team gets $100,000. So they both of them won one quarter. Other one got the other quarter. Yes, casino got paid too. Definitely, definitely. Still people in town. They ain't left yet. Um, and then you have the Greater
casino
Cleveland
always
Food
gets
Bank.
paid.
Exactly. Cleveland Food Bank, and then you have the I Promise schools that got a lot of money too, $100,000. But what I didn't know, I found today, was Cleveland schools got a lot of money too, courtesy of one player, Steph Curry. Steph Curry made over $180,000 that's going to be donated to the Cleveland City schools. I think it was $1,000 a point or something like that. And then every three, they got so much money, and it came out to be like $108,000 when it was all said and done. He didn't have to do that.
No.
He didn't have to do that. He could have donated something to Oakland schools, but he
I'm going
donates
to
to
say
Cleveland schools.
Steph
Is
Curry gets
Clay
a
the
bad rap,
villain?
man.
Is he the villain we think he is?
No.
Because if you look at the game, when they first announced his name, they booed him. They booed him and Draymond. And yeah, he took 3 titles from us that we probably could have had if you were in the way. You are Detroit, basically. They booed him, but as the game went on, he kept hitting those threes. They were cheering for him. The
You
one
know,
from he tried to
Steph
hit it from the
Curry,
middle. I mean, it was he put on the show. It was
I've always liked Steph Curry. I'm not allowed to like Steph Curry being from Cleveland, and I'm not supposed to.
you are.
But this was told that he couldn't make it in college basketball. Wasn't good enough for D1 basketball. And then, so he went to Davidson. And he took Davidson to the Elite Eight almost by himself and almost took Davidson to a Final Four. And it was amazing. And I thought, man, This kid's got heart. And then people say, you're not going to make it in the NBA, though. I'm like, maybe he's not going to be a star in the NBA. Maybe they'll draft him. Did I freeze, T?
No, you good. Go ahead.
Okay. Man, I thought I froze.
I'm looking something up for you for the next segment.
He says, yeah. And then he just goes and dominates the NBA. Yeah. You're not supposed to dominate like Steph Curry does. And man, he rebounds, he dishes the ball, he shoots, maybe the best shooter in the history of the game. How do you not like this guy? And then look at him off the court. He's just a good guy off the court. You don't have none of the, I mean, he's not in any off-court issues, man. He's just a good guy. He's all around a good human being. And you could have a lot worse people for your kids to have as a role model in life than Steph Curry. Because you know what? Look, man, I'm a big LeBron James fan. But LeBron James didn't exactly have to overcome physical limitations. LeBron James was never told he wasn't going to make it. LeBron James never had to have people tell him he wasn't good enough. Steph Curry at every step of the way had people saying, you are not good enough for this level. And he said, stand back and watch me. Steph Curry looked at adversity, thrived on it, ate it up, and spit it out.
Yeah.
Steph Curry,
you
want to hate him, go ahead. But it's hard. Difficult. It's hard for me to hate the guy.
It is. It is hard. It's difficult for you to hate the guy. I mean, he's always been I don't even call him cocky. I mean, at times he shows a little cocky, but it could be like swagger, you know? Like, hey, I'm showing you up right now. I'm doing my thing. You can't deny his ability on the court. He is phenomenal talent. He can shoot it from just about anywhere and hit it most of the time. And it's scary watching that kid shoot the ball. It really is. He donated a lot of money to the schools, which is great, which you didn't have to do, which I just found out today. I didn't know that. I wasn't even a story in the All-Star break. I didn't hear it on TV. I saw it today when Cleveland.com put it out. So that's a huge thing. Wow. B. It's like that, B? Come on, B.
I missed it. What did he say?
Come on. I can't repeat it. There it is. There it is. It's right there. B, how you feel, brother? Hey, B, why you playing? Come on, be a guest. Come on, be a guest sometime, man. Talk about a few things. Talk about a little wrestling with you.
Wrestling.
We'll talk about that towards the end, though, because some things that happened that's really interesting about that. That's going to be going forward for WrestleMania. It's going to be interesting. But I want to say something about not liking somebody that we're not supposed to. We are born and bred in Cleveland, Ohio, to hate the Pittsburgh Steelers. Are we not?
Absolutely.
But they keep doing stuff you got to respect. The Rooney Rule. They're the ones that brought that out. You got to respect that. They are they are a team that until recently had the only black coach in the league. I think who hired Levy Smith? I think he got a job now too. So everybody thought that Flores wasn't going to get a job coaching anymore because his lawsuit with NFL. And Rooney's taking a big chance right now because he's suing the league, and Rooney hired him anyway. So he's going to be the special defensive assistant and the linebackers coach for the Steelers.
Yeah, it's a bold move. He's the one who came out
Very
and said
bold
he was
move.
paid extra money to lose.
No, he said he was offered extra money to lose. He didn't say he accepted the money.
Then Hugh Jackson
dumbass said he was paid.
Too.
Hugh Jackson, look.
100,000 was a good number.
Hugh Jackson. Now you better piss me off. Hugh Jackson. This man comes out, risks his whole coaching career, talking about Flores, speaking out against things that are not fair in the league that were supposed to be said to be fair. Like, they made the Rooney Rule, then they ignored it, and nobody paid attention to it. Like, it's okay. We're going to go ahead and hire this guy, hire that guy. It's not saying hire a minority coach. It said interview one. So you can still hire the coach you want. All they're saying is, hey, at least give this guy a sit at the table and let him tell you what his plans are. You might want to bring him on as an assistant coach. You don't know. You say, okay, say I want to hire Belichick, but I bring in Flores for an interview. And I'm like, damn, this school's good, but I want Belichick. Hey, I already got a guy set up that I want to bring in, but would you want to come in a different role? And then eventually when this guy's gone, maybe you can go to the next level.
Assuming Belichick will take him as an assistant coach. There are problems with the Rooney.
That's true too.
There are a lot of problems. It was a step in the right direction. There are a lot of problems with the Rooney Rule. You had years. I remember sometimes there were investigations where they had pretty much hired the white head coach, and then they had to scramble in a minority candidate before they could announce the hire. The Rooney Rule had a lot of
Yeah.
problems. It was a good thing, but there were things that if you wanted to truly be progressive with the Rooney Rule, you could have done to make sure that it was legitimate interviews
Yes.
that were being done. The Rooney
Yes.
Rule is a mixed bag to me.
It is,
I
but
don't
at least
know.
it's something in place other than nothing at all, though. I
Right.
get
I
that.
think the Rooney Rule should have been strengthened so that there was more due diligence done and to make sure that there was more of a look at actual diversity in hiring. I don't know how you can, always implementing it
somebody
is
to come in
different, but
to hold their hands to babysit them, actually, what you need. I think that the lawsuit is going to try to get that done. I think that's why he did it. I don't think look, you're going against the Shield. You're not going to win the lawsuit, but you can bring awareness to what's going on and that way try to affect some change because you're not going to beat 32 billionaires. Not
you
going to
might
happen.
get an you know what? You might get an activist judge. Activist judges can do some interesting things.
That's true too. But the fact that the Steelers came out there and set a precedence, I think, saying, you know what, you're not going to blackball this guy. We're going to let him go ahead and get another job coaching. Now, at this point, now what he'll do is going forward, he'll be the Steelers for a few years or whatever. He'll do his thing there, and then he might take over for Tomlin one day if Tomlin decides to leave, or he might go somewhere else and become a head coach. I don't think he's done being a head coach because I think what Pittsburgh did was gave him that lifeline to get back into that position to be a head coach one day. But if he hadn't done that, I think he'd be done for good as far as a head coach.
Absolutely,
At
because
least at the
he broke
NFL
he
level.
broke the unwritten rule.
Yeah.
He broke the unwritten rule and came out, and everyone knows teams are tanking. Okay, look, the Browns were not trying. The Browns front office was not trying to put out a competitive team for Hugh Jackson in those 2 years that they went 1-31.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they were necessarily trying to lose 31 games out of 32. You should have won, 2 of them out of accident, But if I was Hugh Jackson and I had the worst record in the history of the NFL as a coach who's coached more than 2 seasons in the league, I'd come out and say I was told and paid to lose too. I mean, Hugh's got nothing to lose, man. Hugh Jackson's here, baby. We're going 1-32. Thank you, Hugh.
Man.
You had a big role in rebuilding this team, though, buddy.
Hugh Jackson, man. I don't know. It just doesn't. He doesn't come across as a credible man. Period.
Hugh Jackson was a man who got over promoted. It's called the Peter Principle. In America, you get promoted until you fail, and then you go back down to the level that you did succeed at, and you stay there. And that's pretty much how the American workplace. I mean, you look at the NFL; it happens all the time. Coaches get promoted until they can't succeed at the level they've been promoted at, and then they go backwards.
Yeah.
They suck as an offensive coordinator, they go back to being a wide receivers coach. If they suck as a head coach, you go back to being a play caller. What's his name? Belichick's guy who just went back to New England after failing in Denver, and I can't think of his name right now. And I wanted him Josh McDaniels. Yep.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackson is a guy that probably never should have gotten higher than offensive coordinator. And maybe he should have stayed a position coach. Gave him a chance as a head coach. The Raiders gave him a chance as a head coach. He failed both times.
Yeah.
The ceiling for it's like Romeo Crennel. The ceiling for Romeo Crennel is defensive coordinator. The ceiling for Josh McDaniels might be offensive coordinator, The ceiling for Brian Chudzinski is position coach. The ceiling for Mike Pettin is high school football coach. He wasn't supposed to be. Remember, Jason used to call him High School Mike? He wasn't supposed to be an NFL head coach. What's the ceiling for Kevin Stefanski? We don't know yet. It might not even be offensive coordinator. Because the 1 year he was successful, Gary Kubiak was up there designing his plays for him.
I think we'll see I think we'll find out what's going on with this coach this year. I mean, with a healthy Baker Mayfield, we'll see how that goes. Do you think Baker's starting quarterback? Do you think Baker's starting quarterback next year? Let's dive into that for a few minutes. Let's talk about Baker for a minute. We got to talk about Baker. Let's talk about Baker for a minute. Do you think Baker Mayfield will be the quarterback starting next year, or do you think the Browns make a move in the offseason?
Baker Mayfield.
Nothing's there in the draft.
Baker Mayfield will be starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns next year. Do you want to spend money for Carson Wentz? Do you want to give up assets for Carson Wentz?
I didn't want Carson Wentz to begin with.
Do you want Mitchell Trubisky? I mean, I did.
No.
I wanted him over
Derek
Myles
Carr, if
Garrett.
anybody. Out of all those
But
guys we could get, I want Derek Carr, but that's not happening no more.
There's only one guy I'm interested in. I'm not interested in Jameis Winston.
Don't say Aaron.
Nope. Aaron is not coming here. Okay.
I was about to say, don't say
it's Carr. It's Carr. Exactly what you said. If I can get Carr reasonably, then yeah, Baker, c'est la vie. Best of luck at your next team.
That got blocked by McDaniels getting hired there.
Yeah. So Baker Mayfield's your guy, and he's going to be your guy for the whole season. Because you can go with Case Keenum. You really think Case Keenum gives you a better chance to win than Baker Mayfield?
I don't think Case going to be on the team next year. Is he under contract still?
Hey, if it's not Case Keenum, there's no backup you're bringing in that you're going to go with over Baker Mayfield right now.
No, you're not going back. You're not going with him, but you got a credible backup to run the system if he gets hurt.
Here's the reason I don't want Carson Wentz. Here's the reason I don't want to gamble on some of these other guys. Trubisky, Jameis Winston.
Oh, no.
The ceiling on those guys, I think Baker Mayfield has a potential higher ceiling than all of them. We don't know yet. And truthfully, we do not know what we have in Baker Mayfield. Do we have the guy in his rookie year who led the team to, was it a 7-8-1 record? Did they go 8-8 that year? Is it the guy that came back led them to the playoffs last year? And for all intents and purposes, for the second half of the season, looked like a top 10 quarterback in the league. Yeah. Is it the guy who came out the first 2 games this year and was lights out before he hurt himself? Is it the guy who was lights out until his left and right tackles never played in the same game together the rest of the year? We had Gardy McGardface filling in at right tackle most of the year. You had guys, the offensive line was held together with duct tape and baling wire for half the season. Chubb and Hunt, what they play together? 6 games together the whole season? You sent Odell Beckham Jr. down the road, and that was the dumbest thing you could have done. What? Because clearly Odell Beckham Jr. was still a talented wide receiver.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, it matters.
It don't matter. He didn't want to be here.
You clearly didn't have anyone else at that point to step up and play that role, because at that point, the passing game was non-existent. Okay, no one is scared of Hollywood Higgins. No defensive back in the NFL is scared to line up in front of Jarvis Landry. He might beat him on a drag. They're not afraid of getting beat by Jarvis Landry.
All right.
No one is afraid of Donovan Peoples-Jones. No one is afraid of the 3 Toyota Priuses we have at tight end. When you split David Njoku out wide for a fly route, the cornerback's going, I got an easy time this time. There's most safeties are lining up against Harrison Bryant going, I got this. If you can line Harrison Bryant up against a linebacker, we're winning all day. If you can line Njoku up against a linebacker or a strong safety, we're winning all day. But when you're running 5 wide sets with 3 tight ends, Rashad Higgins and Jarvis Landry, the defense is going, well, this is pretty friggin' easy. And it allows them to put 7 men in the box and make Nick Chubb's life tough. It allows them to send extra blitzers. You don't have wide receivers, and you better get a wide receiver for next year. So this is a rambling way of me saying, I don't know what Baker Mayfield is. Because when Baker Mayfield has wide receivers, not tight ends, posing as wide receivers, he's a fairly effective quarterback. When Baker Mayfield has an offensive line that's healthy and not a guy named Blake that we picked up off the practice squad for a playoff game last year and then made him our 7th string or our 7th man up on the offensive line, and because of injuries to the starting right tackle and Hubbard had to come in and play tackle, which he'd never played before in his life. In the NFL, he was a guard and a center. When Baker Mayfield has a functioning offensive line, he looked a lot like Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford just won a Super Bowl. And Baker Mayfield looks a lot like Matt Stafford at times. So, yeah, I want to give him a year healthy. I want to find a wide receiver. And I want to see what Baker Mayfield is, because I've watched shit quarterback play in this town since Bernie Kosar rolled out of town. Okay? You haven't had a quarterback better than average Bernie, and that's a sacrilege in Cleveland, but Bernie Kosar's a hell of a lot of average. And you haven't had a quarterback better than Bernie Kosar since 1995. I've watched Deshaun Kaiser, the worst quarterback to ever play in the National Football League, period. I watched Charlie Fry. I watched Brady Quinn. I watched us think Derek Anderson was the second coming of Brett Favre. I know bad quarterback play. And I know at times Baker Mayfield has done some things that make you scratch your head. But I've also seen him at times be a competent NFL quarterback. And more than competent, I can see Matt Stafford in him. And I think that's his ceiling, and that guy just won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. So, speaking of ceilings, let me ask you one question. Just drop a name. I'm going to give you two names. Who has a higher ceiling? Baker Mayfield or Joe Burrow?
Oh, Joe Burrow. Dear God, it's Joe Burrow.
Everything you just said about Baker.
Joe Burrow could be the best quarterback in the entire league.
With the
the history of the league.
With the line play, you said Baker didn't have his tackles. So he took a little step down. This man, in his second year out of college, lost Super Bowl by 3 points with a makeshift offensive line, a rebuilt knee, and defensive players that weren't even supposed to be out there on defense. Baker Mayfield's ceiling is Joe Burrow's floor.
Sure.
He's walking on him. He's going.
If I can get Joe Burrow here, I'll trade Myles Garrett and Baker Mayfield.
If we had Joe Burrow, we would have already been in the Super Bowl already.
Odell
wouldn't have left.
Interesting you say that, because I'm going to give you another name here. Okay? Ja'Marr Chase. There's Ja'Marr Chase?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And if we had Chase here, Kevin Stefanski wouldn't throw to him. You know what the play would be? Hey, Chase, I need you to push and clear out down the field so that I can run a slant route to David Njoku. Hey, Chase, here's what I need you to do. I need you to run an under route so I can post Harrison Bryant.
I think it was OBJ leaving. I think it was more of a Baker thing than a Stefanski thing. I believe that. I think there was something that happened that we haven't heard about between those two.
Look, I'm going to tell you, and this is going to seem really weird because now I'm going to go backpedal on everything I just said, okay? But when we were doing the other sports talk show, okay, I made a lot of observations that when does Baker Mayfield look best? When you're moving the pocket and he's outside of the pocket, on the move, reading half the field, okay? There's two reasons for that. The man can read the field when he can see. T, I've never been a big fan of short quarterbacks. I don't think he can see over the line. So that eliminates 3-step drops. It eliminates 5-step drops. You're left with long developing 7-step drops, play action plays, or really quick hits to the outside out of the shotgun. If you want to look over the middle, you got to take a deep drop for him. It's got to be a longer developing play. He can't see. You can't throw to a receiver that you can't see. You can't see the receiver, you can't throw the ball to him.
It's true.
That said, we didn't help him last year. Once the line got injured, once we started losing receivers, you're rolling the pocket to tight ends. You need to figure out a way to get him into some 7-step drops, some deeper drops, some play action that will give him time to see what's going on. You need to get him the ability to be looking at half the field more often. Look, he even argued that he was pissed off during the year. That's the big rumors, that they stopped doing the rollout plays that he was better at. Baker knows what he's better at. We tried to jam Baker Mayfield into an offense Kevin Stefanski wants to run, instead of Kevin Stefanski running an offense that Baker Mayfield can run. And some of that went away because Baker was hurt and they didn't want to risk him getting hit. But the bottom line to it is, you got to do something other than 13 personnel and 3 tight end sets. And I can't evaluate Baker Mayfield from last year. I can't.
No, you can't. And
I've watched him force a ball to Donovan Peoples-Jones. I've watched him miss wide open touchdowns. But Baker's going to miss stuff. Every quarterback misses stuff. Does Baker miss more than he's supposed to reading the field? I don't think he can see over the offensive line. But I would love to see them come back next year with a commitment to running the ball 25 to 30 times a game and a balanced passing attack with a healthy offensive line but I just don't know who's going to go catch the ball for him because Donovan Peoples-Jones, Rashard Higgins.
You got to
I
go
don't
in the
finish
draft
my
to get your
routes
receiver.
shorts, or you got
the
to
13th pick,
as a free agent. Yeah,
13th pick,
you better
they got to be a receiver.
Better go get a receiver.
If the Browns draft something different than a receiver in the 13th pick without addressing it in free agency, then they're not gonna be shit next year.
I think this is the other thing people miss. They say, why aren't you running the ball? Because you can't run the ball. You can't if you can't pass. In the old days of the NFL, you ran the ball to open up the pass. In the NFL, you pass the ball today to open up the run.
Yeah.
Because if you're running out Hooper, Harrison Bryant, David Njoku, Rashard Higgins, and Jarvis Landry, the defense doesn't need to worry about your passing game. They can key on your running game. They can blitz the run gaps. They can do all of that. And that's why the Browns offense looked like it was nearly impossible for them to gain yards at times. Like getting 4 yards was a struggle because it was. You don't have receivers. You don't have receivers, period. So that's why I can't. You say, is Baker Mayfield the quarterback? I think Baker Mayfield's still the quarterback because I don't think that many people, I don't think Aaron could have got much done with that team last year offensively.
Not with that scheme. So moving on real fast before we shut it down, we got to talk about that school up north.
Oh, I didn't see this video, but I know he hit an assistant on the other team.
I thought it was the head coach he hit.
Was it the head coach?
I believe he hit the head coach. The video that I saw was Howard was trying to walk past him, and dude stopped him and put his hand in his chest, kind of pushing back like, you're going to acknowledge me. Roman Reigns type stuff. And I'm like, Jawan was like, leave me alone, get off me, leave me alone, whatever. And it went from there, and it went nuclear from there. He is suspended for the rest of the regular season and fined. Hold on, let me pull it up here. Whew. Oh, it was assistant coach. I'm sorry. What the hell is that about? So Juwan Howard is suspended for the 5 games, the remainder of the regular season, and fined $40,000. Whew. What is going on? I need to know why that coach stopped him first. Was something brewing during the game? Because Juwan would know he didn't want to shake dude's hand at all. And this guy put his hand up in his chest like, I can't say I wouldn't have done the same thing. I don't know. That's touchy.
I'm watching the video right now.
That's real touchy. Why he put his hands on him though? Like, I don't understand why he did that. Brian thinks he's getting fired. Brian, I don't know if he's getting fired or not. You think he's getting fired? Why not fire him now then? If you're going to fire the guy, fire him now. Why are you waiting to the end of the season to fire him? He's suspended the rest of the season. Getting fined $40,000. And you going to fire him? Just fire him now. Well, wait. You watch the video?
Yeah. Throws an overhand right at him. I mean,
did he?
This is the thing. As much as I want to say that you have to know better, you have to keep your head. Anyone who's played sports knows that those situations happen and you don't keep your head. Okay?
That's true.
In the last year playing amateur sports, I think I've almost gotten in 4 or 5 fist fights over softball and football. And cooler heads prevailed at the last second, because nobody wanted to fight. Whatever happened, someone said, whatever needed to be said to get Howard to throw a punch. They didn't want to talk to each other. He told him to get out of his face. The other coach got upset. This is 2 grown men having an altercation. And I'm not going to say you have to know better and you have to be better. That said, he definitely has to be suspended. He definitely has to be fined because he's a coach for college kids. And while his first responsibility is to win games for the University of Michigan and make them lots of money, his nominal fake first responsibility is to mold young men into men who can be leaders and, good members of society. And as a molder of young men, you can't go throwing punches and losing your temper. Now that said, as I said, He might skate because he is winning games at Michigan. And as much as, the NCAA likes to tell you that it's about college athletes and developing young men and young women into adults and leaders, it's about making money. It's cash cow. The NCAA is all about making money, and he's winning. And he's winning right now. That said, I'm not sure he doesn't get fired. I think Michigan is going to try to see if this dies down. If there's a media storm over this, if this is still a story in a week, and there's people, sponsors threatening to pull out of sponsoring the team and activist groups coming for him, he's gone.
I don't think it's going that far.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
It might. I don't know why my voice just went up 9 octaves, but
it was more of a smack than a punch to me. But the fact is, so he got into it with the head coach, it appears. And Juwan did shake his hand, but he kind of did it in a nonchalant kind of way, whatever.
I saw him.
Yeah, and he
pointed his
kind of
finger at him,
stopped him, and he grabbed his shirt. So then they got separated. Then he punched the assistant coach, not the head coach. He's not winning. That is true. He's not winning. I had, my buddy Chris loves that school up north, and I think my boss is a big Ohio State fan. He'll be on with us pretty soon. He put out a stat. I think Ohio State's 5-1 against them, and like 27-10 over the last how many years or whatever. Like, they're not beating us in basketball either. Not at that level that they should. They're supposed to be a better basketball.
No, you know
school.
what?
They're not getting it either.
I completely transposed what I was looking at. He is not winning, so that might not do so well for him. This is going to be a weird thing for me to say, okay? I don't think he should be fired over this. I think these are just two men that got into an argument, tempers flared, and someone threw a punch.
But he didn't hit the guy he was arguing with. That's the thing. So now it's a different situation. He didn't hit the guy he was arguing with. He hit somebody else that wasn't even involved in it, was trying to break it up.
Well,
he hit a random guy trying to break it up.
You just don't know what that random guy did on the way in either. You know how fights go. You're a bouncer, T. How many times does the guy trying to break up the fight and coming in late be the one who says the thing that pushes the guy over the edge to throw the punch?
I mean, I've seen situations like that.
I feel like we're probably making too big of a deal out of this than what it is. Should there be punishment? Should there be repercussions? We're really fire happy in this country to tell people that they've screwed up and they should be fired.
Wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, that's different. I saw something different just now. I watched it again. The coach he punched came in and said something. Don't know what he said, but when he said it, the player reacted to it too. Because he came in hot at Juwan. Juwan was backing up. He said something. The player from that school up north, look on his face was like, kind of like, what you say? And then Juwan threw the punch. So that needs to be.
I don't, this is going to sound, I'm tired of people losing their jobs, losing their career, being silenced and ostracized for their worst moment. And some things that has to happen for. It does. But I don't think this is one of those cases that he should be fired. This is 2 men, 3 men, a fight happened, a brouhaha happened, somebody threw a punch. Does somebody need to lose their job because tempers got heated and you threw a punch?
I think $40,000 is good, bro. Especially at the college level coaching. I don't know how much is getting paid, but $40,000 is, yeah, that's a good little hit there.
We've moved into this world in society where you're not allowed to make a mistake. Doesn't matter what the mistake is. There are some mistakes you're not allowed to make, and you shouldn't be allowed to make. But throwing a punch, I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is dive. We'll talk about this and we'll let it cook for a minute and come back to this story later on.
I mean, this isn't like Urban Meyer losing his mind in the NFL and kicking his kicker while he's in a stretch position and bullying and insulting his head coaches. But I think Michigan's going to see where this goes. If it dies down, he's probably going to be okay.
What are you going with dipshit? I'm missing your kicks, dipshit? Something like that?
In the end, man, the guy threw a punch. Suspension without paying a $40,000 fine probably should be enough here. And you know what? This can be a teaching moment for the kids, too. You can still teach these kids this and say, look, the camera's on. You see what happened to me? Learn from my mistake. Learn from my lesson. I'm lucky to still have my job and the right to teach you kids.
That's true.
This is the modern day. You don't get to have these moments in silence and recover from it. And I'll say again to people, The difference between Howard and me is that if I throw a punch and hit someone, might not be on TV, and my company might not see it, and I'm not going to have to apologize to the nation.
Yep. Before we close out, real quick, I know Brian's still listening, hopefully. Wrestling. A lot of changes going on. A lot of things happened last week. That's very interesting. Cody Rhodes has left AEW. Rumor is he will show up on Raw soon or SmackDown. Not understanding why you leave Vince to start another company. Get the backing of the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars to put millions of dollars into it, to the production, get a TV contract with TNT and TBS, and turn around and leave the company to go back to Vince. I don't know if Vince is back at the Brinks truck for this guy or what he's doing, what his storyline is going to be. Tiger think there's a backdoor deal somewhere between Vince and Tony Khan to somehow merge down the road AEW and WWE, because he let a ton of wrestlers go. Tony Khan wouldn't pay him. Interesting, very interesting. That could be the issue, money. And Vince said, "Come on back home, I'll take care of you." Another thing about Elimination Chamber and everything, Brock Lesnar is a champion once again.
Boo.
See, I'm not booing this one because of Brock's character now. Like, I know you probably haven't seen what's going on with Brock's character now.
Kofi Mania was the last time I watched wrestling.
He's talking. He don't need a mic no more. Paul Heyman betrayed him for Roman Reigns. And Paul Heyman's with Reigns again.
Oh, that's the most brilliant move Vince had to have done in a long time.
The way it went down was real
Paul
good.
Heyman with Roman?
The way it went down was real smooth. Because he was back with Brock for a minute.
How many times did we say on one fall that they needed to put Heyman with Roman Reigns if they wanted to get him over?
And that's doing really good. So Brock won the belt in the Elimination Chamber last week because I thought it was a shoot, but it was a work into a shoot because Bobby Lashley got injured during the match, never competed. Come to find out, Bobby was already hurt, so they did the angle to get him injured in the match before he could compete, so they get him out the ring. So Bobby will be back, and they said 3 to 4 months he got to have shoulder surgery. So he's out of Mania. So right now, Mania's looking like it's going to be, and I don't like this one right here. Unless they unify titles, it's going to be champion versus champion at WrestleMania. So
they haven't done that in a while, have they?
But you're doing. Here's the problem: you got 2 nights you're doing WrestleMania. You're doing Saturday and Sunday. It's 2 different nights.
Oh.
They're gonna pack it, so it's gonna be like 10 matches on Saturday, 10 matches on Sunday. It's doing it in Dallas, so it's gonna be 2 nights of WrestleMania. So you expect on one night Raw defends the champion, second night SmackDown defends the championship, but you're gonna have the championship defended, both championships defended the same night. Unless the plan is to somehow defend the championship on that Saturday night and then some kind of way loop it in to where something else happens that day where they fight again. I don't know. They got to figure something out, though, because I can't see it unless that's the main event, and unified titles, which I don't see the titles being unified unless you're not doing the brand breakup anymore. Yes, Brock is better than ever. Brock is.
I don't think they're going to get rid of the brand breakup, but I think I've never been a fan of that. The 2 different brands. I think it limits the matches you can make, but
I mean, it does and doesn't at the same time.
Oh my God, Goldberg is still there.
Goldberg just got beat by Roman Reigns, and they botched the match because I think Roman having a guillotine, he's supposed to let go when he got to the ropes, and he didn't. The referee didn't break the count, so Roman put it back in the middle of the ring and made him pass out. Roman beat Goldberg legit. No interference. The last couple of matches that he's had has not had any interference in it, and he's beat the people clean. So they
you should. If you're the face of your company.
Well, they're building Roman to be. And if you look at the Roman's promos now, you see it coming. It's going to happen. You see it. It might happen in Mania. Who knows? The Rock is coming back to wrestle, and it's going to be Roman. Look at that look on Scott's face.
I'll believe it when I see it.
It's coming.
I think the Rock is worth too much money.
Even when he does his promos now, Roman does this. When Roman does his promos now, he goes, acknowledge me. He goes this. He does the whole. He's becoming The Rock.
Maybe it's happening. I mean, if The Rock gets a break from making movies, but he'd be giving up money to do it.
Unless Vince cutting people to make money to pay him. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Do you think it's look? You said and Tiger said there might be a backdoor deal with Tony Khan to merge WWE and AEW.
I don't buy it. That's his theory. I don't buy it.
I think it's a bad thing that Cody Rhodes is going back to the WWE. And I think it would be a very bad thing if those two merged, because they will. AEW had some bad timing, I think. It launched right as the pandemic happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that was good for wrestling. And I think it stole a lot of their thunder. And but I think what will make the WWE better, what will make AEW better, is some competition. As a good capitalist, competition makes everything better. It's the engine of capitalism. It's the engine of growth. It's the engine of dynamic changes. So you need a competitor. And this fake Raw SmackDown thing that Vince has done doesn't do it because he owns them both. So wrestling got crappy when Vince bought everything. Wrestling went downhill when he bought the WCW, when he bought God, I can't remember the other one with the tables that Heyman used to run. ECW.
Why did he fire his son? I'm trying to figure out that storyline too.
Did he fight? Is that
Shane,
real, or is that?
From what I'm understanding, everything I've seen so far shows that it is not a work. It is a shoot. He fired Shane McMahon. Now,
for real.
For real, he's not with the company, as far as I know. So
if I remember this correctly, there was a fight in the direction that the WWE was going to go. Vince and Stephanie wanted to take it to the PG era so that they could create streaming content for all ages, marketability, and sponsors.
Which they've done.
And Shane wanted to go not all the way back to the Attitude Era, but wanted to at least go to a PG-13 era. Shane wasn't big on the PG era. And the only thing that I can say is maybe Shane finally lost that fight for real. Pushed his hand too far, played his hand too hard. And that's why Shane, I thought that's why Shane was away for as long as he was.
He was running some kind of telecommunications thing in Japan. Shane's got money.
It wouldn't surprise me, though, if Shane again lost that fight between Triple H, Stephanie, and Vince as to what the future direction of the marketing of this company should be.
See, here's the problem. I think Triple H is kind of like in the outs right now, too, because he has his heart problem. He hasn't been doing much either. That's why NXT has gone the way it's gone.
Yep. I think for wrestling fans, the best thing that could happen is if Shane McMahon were to be in charge of it all and Stephanie and Vince were to go away. And Triple H.
I agree.
But I don't think that's going to happen. The next best thing for wrestling fans would be that if AEW could get over on the WWE and pull a Ted Turner WCW.
Well, like
sure that's going to happen either.
What if they sign Shane?
Yeah, that would be phenomenal. That would be a big
man in AEW. That would be huge.
Yeah. You have a whole NWO line again. Big time.
That'd be brutal. All right. Hey, man. So we're going to wrap it up with that one because we're over here. But it was great having you back, man, from the basement. Hope you enjoyed your time off. And we're coming back next week at you at the same time, man. Well, maybe 8:30 this time, but we're on early.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
It happens. Speaking of bats, let's do a movie review next week about Batman. I want to see if you see. I want you to see the previews. This new Batman.
The Batman.
It's a weird thing because I kind of want to see it now.
I'll check out the trailers. We'll talk about it next week.
I'm thinking he's going to bite somebody's blood in the neck, though, because he's a vampire to me always. Always a vampire to me. But it's a little dark. The last preview I saw was kind of dark, and I kind of liked it.
The Batman, as portrayed by Ozzy Osbourne. Sharon!
Damn it, Scott. All right, Lewis, thank you for producing the show for us once more. My friend, Scott, I'm TJ. We are going to say out and good night. Be safe.
See you next Monday.